Tesla employee who sued and won a discrimination lawsuit against the automaker. ABC News reporter Rebecca Jarvis has more on the racial abuse he endured.
On April 6th,
that's why conservatives like him so much.
or at the time he allegedly offered a flight attendant a horse after he supposedly himself to her during a massage.
I mean, I'll take a horse. You want to show me? If you're a worker that steals time, you're unemployable. But if you're a businessman who steals time, like, you can somehow land a new job. It doesn't make any sense. We got a little bit of a recommendation. It's about elongated muskrat. This is a Jay Aubrey video about Elon Musk, a $1 billion disaster. So let's get it going. Let's watch it. The piano.
Are you sincerely trying to save the world?
The piano.
Well, I'm trying to do good things, yeah.
Same.
I mean, saving the world is not I mean,
Yeah, me too. I try to do the dishes sometimes. It's a pretty good thing.
Trying to do good things and you're a billionaire. That seems a little bit like either superhero or supervillain. You have to choose one.
I mean, true. And again, hot take, Batman. He lives in. He's a billionaire that has enough money to single-handedly fund the satellite for the Justice League that lives in the most poverty-stricken area. You know, and I'm feeling like maybe if he cared a little more, maybe if he engaged in better, you know, welfare programs for people, maybe there wouldn't be so much crime. I'm thinking like maybe Batman is part of the problem. Maybe he's not the solution. Maybe he just doesn't help people or implement, you know, social welfare programs because, you know, he likes to beat up people who've had a bad life. Let's be real, you know? Let's be real.
One.
Sip on mezcal, I like tequila, damn this shit tasty. Yeah, you know I made about $1 million off a pink beanie.
Alright, let's get past this intro.
Cashmere chains on me, she's
Let's just get past the intro. I don't know if it's
Stan
DMCA.
culture terrifies me. Going so far as to steal your favorite streamer's water bottle at a convention, or getting
I would just give it to you. I would just give it to you. You don't got to steal it. As long if you were thirsty, because I might be thirsty. I'm a diabetic, you know, and I'm on a new diuretic that makes me go to the bathroom more. And the concept is that it pushes the you know, pushes the sugar out of my urine, and it works actually. My blood sugar levels have gone down substantially in the past 2 days alone. Probably like 50 points. It's just also giving me a really bad bellyache. It's making me nauseous too. So I don't know. I got to deal with that somehow. But I probably need the water, you know? I'm just saying.
a tattoo of a YouTuber's single strand of hair is alarming and should probably be studied.
This girl
come
tattooed
on.
Drake on her forehead. It was love. I mean, it's crazy. It's surreal. I don't even want to look at it anymore because it's super surreal, you know? Yeah.
Celebrity worship, though, is far from a new concept. And truthfully, in small doses, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. To a certain extent...
I don't know if you could use the word worship in small doses. Like, you know, liking a celebrity is not necessarily bad in small doses, but
to everyone looks up to and draws inspiration from somebody. But an entire subset of the population exalting powerful oligarchs and hailing those at the very top of the societal totem pole as saviors of humanity is what starts to make me a little uneasy.
well, I mean, it makes sense that conservatives would look at rich people as like really great because I think that for conservative culture, like the pick yourself up by your bootstraps thing, it implies that anybody who's rich did it of their own volition and it had nothing to do with anybody else and that they're just better. And by the way, I don't think that a bootstraps mentality is necessarily a bad thing. I think it needs to be, you know, mixed in with a healthy amount of like understanding of different like potential systemic issues. But, you know, but then on the other hand, you know, you got progressives who hate rich people, and like I'm closer there. You know, I'm not, you know. You look at these like huge billionaires and stuff making all this money off of all these different things like healthcare and stuff, and it's like, wow, you know. That's why you guys should look at the Mark Cuban's medical, like his prescription drug medication thing that he does. I don't remember what it's called. Just look up Mark Cuban drugs or whatever. Because it's like he charges, it's a standard 15% increase on all pharmaceutical costs, plus like a couple of fees that are like reasonable fees. So it's like like for me, uninsured, I can get the same medication for 3 months that I do now get for a month at a third of the cost. And that's with my medicine being covered by insurance. It's wild. I got to look into doing it because it's just like, Jesus, you know, it's just wild, man.
personally. Maybe that makes me crazy, but in my mind, no one else encapsulates this quite better than perhaps the most talked about guy on the planet right now. A tech mogul and multi-billionaire CEO who gained a particularly staunch fan base with his frequent use of Twitter, depicting himself as a reputable genius with big ideas for the future, and revolutionizing the automobile industry with the first ever exploding cars, making headlines.
I feel like it wasn't the first ever exploding car, but
most recently for his acquisition of.
Well, didn't he also? There's also a thing where my understanding was, and I'm not super educated on it, so you know, like take this with a grain of salt. But my understanding was that he also had an issue where like they were engaging with the self-driving cars, and they were like lying about like how safe they were, and that caused like a lot of issues. Like it just, you know, that, and then I think he also said something along the lines of like when advertisers were pulling out of Twitter because he made a bad business decision, he's like, this should be illegal, we shouldn't be able to do this. He questioned whether Twitter was capable enough of doing targeted advertisements, which is obviously true. They do targeted ads all over the place. Like he just doesn't seem particularly intelligent about anything that he's talking about when it comes to like Twitter, at least. He just seems like a reasonably smart guy that came from money, because that's what happened. Doesn't matter if he didn't inherit money. People be like, well, he didn't inherit it. It's okay, his parents are alive. No shit, you don't inherit stuff. You still get tons of money from like your parents being able to afford better opportunities for you, whether it's like where you live, etc., etc. But it doesn't seem like this guy's particularly intelligent at all. He just seems like conservatives love him because he says free speech, LOL, you know? And free speech is cool, but I mean,
the biggest mass communication site on the face of the internet. While some say he's the very elitist oligarch his fans claim to despise, others continue to insist he's not like the other girls being billionaires. He works for us, the people, vowing to spring humanity forward to explore new frontiers outside.
Yeah, I love how he fired like 80% of the Twitter staff, and he's like, yeah, some of these people weren't really doing a whole lot of work. Some of them were like enjoying their leisure time at the business. And it's like, oh, why is it bad to treat your workers well? You know? I don't get it. It doesn't
of our planetary boundaries, right? But how honest is this image he wants us to buy into? That's what I'm here to find out today, as we peel back the curtain behind the most beloved savior of Earth, Elon Musk.
The Elon Musk?
Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971 in a capital city of South Africa by the name of Pretoria. Brought up alongside two younger siblings by his mother May, a Canadian-born model and dietitian, and his incestuous father Aaron.
Ah! I mean, they do say, why go across the street if you could just go across the hall, am I right? Don't take that advice. It's terrible advice.
A South African electromechanical engineer, pilot, sailor, consultant, and property developer, meaning it goes without saying that Elon was born into a life of extravagant wealth. A fortune that only grew larger when his fathers stumbled upon a golden opportunity to sell the family's private jet to some Italians in exchange for half a Zambian emerald mine, giving the family access to all the emeralds they could have ever wanted.
Damn, I got my wife an emerald for our wedding ring. I guess I gave Elon Musk money. Oh, shit, I didn't even know that, dude. It's crazy.
Gems, which, interestingly enough, Errol claims to have sold himself, hiring a cutter in Johannesburg and pawning them off along his trips as an engineer across the globe. Though that all depends on who you ask. While Elon...
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think I would ask a single person. I don't think I care enough, you know, like in general. Like, I'm curious in the video, but I wouldn't ask.
Was once happy to discuss the mine in 2014. He's since denied it ever existing. Not sure what happened there. Maybe he just a bit forgetful. Errol, though, detailed the scale of the family's luxury in a 2018 interview with Business Insider, stating, "We had so much money at times we couldn't even close our safe. With one person holding the money in place, another would slam the door. And then there's..."
Oh man, how terrible. Imagine taxing these guys more. How would they ever be able to survive with having more taxes onto them? You know, how crazy. Jesus. We cannot tax billionaires. It's not appropriate, guys. They don't have the money for it. They don't have any physical funds. It's all in stock options, guys. So that's why it's okay for them to have ridiculous amounts of wealth. Don't even worry about it.
Still be all these notes sticking out, and we'd sort of pull them out and put them in our pockets. Being driven to school in a convertible Rolls Royce, the Musk children had thoroughbred horses to ride and motorbikes at the age of 14,
Wow.
as Errol went on to
Same,
describe in another interview. An illustrious lifestyle that not everybody in apartheid South Africa could relate to say the least. See, at the time, Elon belonged to a rich minority who was granted better education and healthcare opportunities, giving him a significant head start compared to the less
Wow.
advantaged group.
But did he inherit any of his wealth, though? Did he inherit it?
During apartheid. Not everybody's dad owned a stake in a Zambian emerald mine, is what I'm trying to say. Having
Really?
an
Mine did.
influential family with the relevant resources and connections to get ahead is what ultimately allowed him to move to Canada during his teen years. The truth was, his parents had been divorced since 1980, and living with his dad was a decision he ultimately came to regret, as the two had more than a turbulent relationship. A cushy upbringing didn't mean one free of familial trauma.
Very violent. It was not a happy childhood.
Oh man,
My father has this serious issues.
Elon
that's sad. But I also don't care that much because he's rich. And I'm sorry if that's mean, but that's just how I feel, bro. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, that's sad. You know. But I also saw the movie Richie Rich, and that guy had some crazy stuff, you know.
describing his now estranged father as a terrible human being, emotionally abusing his children their entire lives, which isn't too surprising when you consider he's admitted to having a child with his stepdaughter 40 years his junior.
Oh, well, that's not incest, is it? I mean, it's disgusting. I'm not gonna lie, especially since like, well, I guess I don't know if we'd consider it incest, but I guess maybe the power dynamic wise, it might have been depending on that scenario. You know, there might be some grooming allegations there too. Jesus.
Despite raising her since the age of 4,
yup.
after obtaining a
Yeah,
Canadian
yeah,
visa
yeah,
through
yeah,
his
yeah,
mother,
yeah, that's
Elon
pretty
would
bad,
then move
pretty
to
bad.
the US, attending the University of Pennsylvania and graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in physics and a Bachelor of Science in economics by the mid-90s, when he then
Fuckonomics.
moved to San Diego with plans to obtain a PhD at Stanford. Though Elon quickly
A player hater degree.
changed course as he watched the company Netscape go public with a valuation of about $3 billion. Being a fan of computers and sci-fi his entire life, Elon was enamored with the business potential of the consumer internet, dropping out of Stanford after just 2 days and chasing the money during the dot-com boom, the most convenient timing imaginable for a guy like Elon to be enveloped in Silicon Valley. After hearing a botched pitch from a Yellow Pages representative during his time as an intern, Elon recognized the need for searchable directories online and conferred with his brother slash good friend of another famous billionaire whose name escapes me, Kimball, to do
What the fuck? That's crazy.
just that. After being primarily
bro.
funded by Errol, Elon and Kimball's Zip2 sought to provide and license online city guide software to newspapers. And if that sounds boring, it is. I'm not gonna lie, it's boring. And frankly, it's an idea so basic, it would have been invented by somebody else had Elon not been at the right place at the right
Hey,
time.
sometimes that's
But
how
what
it
I
be.
find
It be.
funny is that throughout its early stages, Elon would impress potential investors by building a giant fake casing around a smaller computer to make it seem like Zip2 was some kind of massive supercomputer when it wasn't.
So it sounds like this guy has never known anything about computers in any robust way, but he's probably okay, I guess, at marketing sometimes. At least in the short term, I guess, because that's all that is. That's like an Alienware computer. It's like you buy the fucking $500 Dell computer and then you just make it look really cool. And that's a subjective thing, by the way. And then you charge $4,000 for it and go, this is awesome. It's kind of like how when I went to Best Buy, it was a couple of years ago, but I went to Best Buy once and they had an Alienware and I just looked at it. I was like, I want to take a look at this thing. And I'm looking at it and it's just like preposterously like priced. Like that's just the reality. And there's this girl that walked up to me and she's like, oh, and she's like pretending that she like didn't work for the store. And she's like, this is a pretty cool computer, huh? I'm like, not. I was like, I guess. And I was like, you totally work here. And it was just such a bizarre experience to go through, to be honest with you. Holy fuck.
kicking off a disturbing pattern of lying to investors that seemed to follow Elon throughout his entire career, but we'll get into all that later. See, Elon and Cowboy Kimball finally scored their first investment from a venture capital firm for $3 million.
Whoa.
On the one condition that Elon step aside as CEO and allow a more seasoned tech executive to take his place. While Elon has always pushed to keep himself in the spotlight, Zip2 needed the money, so he agreed. It was at this point that newer, more skilled programmers were hired and tasked with rewriting a huge bulk of Elon's code, as it was evident his skills were self-taught, which is a mild way of putting it when you consider how—
Well, yeah, I mean, self-taught people can actually be very effective, so I'm going to assume that he's just, when they say self-taught, they just mean absolute fucking dog shit. He's talentless. Okay, he has, I guess, the ability to take advantage of other people's talent is his best, you know, quality. And some people call that being a manager.
So much needed to be fixed. Like, I'm a YouTuber who doesn't know anything about coding, but because his approach apparently didn't include chunking, he created what's known as a hairball, or a tangled mess of code that's nearly impossible to unravel if anything goes wrong. So hey, maybe coding wasn't his strong suit, but that's okay because—
I mean, he probably also was an entitled little kid that never even learned how to, like, overcome that issue of, like, oh, I'm not good at a thing, let me get better, you know?
Because neither was
Hey, what's up, Acrello?
Apparently. With one former vice president alleging Elon would get really angry if the entire company wasn't still at their desks working past 9 o'clock at night, which I find hard to believe, personally.
My dad was abusive. By the way, let me just do the same thing. Hey, that is kind of how it goes, though, you know? That do be how it is, brother. That do be how it is. You know, if anything, Elon Musk is the victim, right?
Elon working his employees to the point of exhaustion has never been documented at any point throughout his career. But after eventually organizing a coup to reinstate himself as—
I love that coup. Too bad the voice actor died, you know?
CEO, Elon became a millionaire when Zip2 sold to Compaq in 1999, with his 7% share of the company scoring him a $22 million payday. Money that he would then sink into an uninsured $1 million car he later totaled, not before inviting CNN over to film the equivalent of a really expensive unboxing video.
I'd like to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. That'd be cool.
He wanted to make himself—
Ah, yes, of course. Of course, guys. The number one motivation, being famous. So it sounds like this whole thing is just making money to be as famous as possible. This guy's a fucking asshole, dude.
Famous. In fact, it's possible
Famous
he
cringe.
cared more
I
about
just want
his
the money.
image than just about anything else. You'll see in a minute that the drive
Give me the
behind
money.
all of Elon's business ventures relied more on Elon making himself a cult of personality than actually improving the world in direct, tangible ways, as we see in the story of X.com, which, despite its name, wasn't a porn site.
What?
So this is an ATM.
About to say I've been there before. A couple hundred times.
What we're going to do is transform the traditional banking industry. I do not fit the picture of a banker. Raising $50 million is a matter of making a series of phone calls.
This is where Elon's story gets even more convoluted and dishonest. When going through his list of accomplishments, many incorrectly credit Elon for founding PayPal, when in fact, he didn't. His company X.
Wait, why did they... PayPal? Where the hell did that come from?
.com merged with another company that had already created and been using PayPal for up to a year prior. While he promised to revolutionize online banking by throwing $12 million at X.com, all he actually managed to do was talk up a big game and make up a bunch of false promises about an online banking software in order to woo investors. The truth was, their technology was faulty at best, with one glaring flaw even allowing users to transfer money from any account in the nation's banking system using only an account number. Employees felt as though Elon had promised the moon and the stars, but had in return delivered nothing close to it. So they were leaving in droves along with one of the co-founders. Struggling to support itself, X.com merged with a competing payment company called Confinity, owned by fellow billionaire and enjoyer of young people's blood, Peter Thiel. He and Confinity received widespread press coverage in 1999 with the launch of PayPal. But despite misconceptions, PayPal was ultimately a product of Confinity. Only adopted—
You know, my only real issue with PayPal is why can't you use it for OnlyFans? You know what I mean, dude? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that oppressive to men? No, I'm just like an idiot today. Isn't that just so fucking crazy and oppressive to guys? I mean, if you really think about it. Why? And women. I'm sure some women look at that stuff, but I don't think women are very visual creatures, you know? That's why my wife's married to me, even though I'm ugly as fuck.
Adopting the name X.com because it was thought to have more marketability than the names Confinity or even PayPal. Which
yeah, I mean, Confinity doesn't inspire confidence. It sounds like a con man.
was abandoned when early consumers thought it was a porn thing, so they went with PayPal. And it didn't help that Elon was suspected by executive Roelof Botha of not disclosing important financial details to the board, and with the company losing so much money under Elon, more and more people there were questioning his decision-making. So
wow. Elon Musk has a history of failing businesses? What is he, Donald Trump?
they organized a coup to overthrow him as CEO and replace him with Blood Manteel. It worked, and Elon was removed from his executive position at PayPal while on his way to Australia, cutting his honeymoon a little short. As for PayPal, both of these nuts justified the decision by claiming it would have killed the company if Elon stayed on as CEO for 6 more months.
Damn.
So Elon still kept his stake in PayPal. And
Sounds kind of like this place called Twitter, where he is a detriment to them as well. Completely ruining the confidence of all advertisers during Christmas time and losing them a bunch of money because he decided to make it so that everybody can get verified like a fucking moron and doesn't understand the value of advertisement revenue. So,
made about $180 million when it sold to eBay in 2002. He cashed out, but I cannot emphasize enough how little he actually had to do with making the company a success. And he certainly wasn't a founder despite going to extreme lengths.
It's like funny because there's always that guy that like we've always worked with where like they were shit at the job, but the only reason they had it was because of nepotism. And like I had my job because of nepotism too. Like my uncle worked there, but like I was actually effective at the job. That's why I would get promoted. And these people would be fucking dog shit, but they were still, you know, they were still existing. So you pretty much were working in spite of them instead of, you know, with them helping you. It's kind of like that, man. It's kind of like that. That's what Elon Musk seems to basically be in these businesses.
Thanks to make you think he was. But
you think most women watch porn? Do they? I feel like, well, I mean, my claim was that women are more visual, or less visual than guys are. It wasn't that they don't watch porn. And then I also think that women read porn more often. It's a real thing. Real weird thing.
At least Elon only did this once, right? Right?
He wasn't the founder in the sense of he wasn't, you know, we started it.
I'm not sure why he has to also say that he was a founder when he wasn't. I don't understand that.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Before we go any further, let me clear something else up. Elon is not the founder of Tesla. Despite this lie being spewed casually across the internet over and over.
Hey. You dress for the job you want, right? You're just lying on your resume. You know? You just say some kind of crazy stuff. You know, like I was a bus washer. So when a real job title is that I was in charge of facilitating the high cleanliness expectations of multi-million-dollar county vehicles. Right? And when you think of it like that, you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty crazy. Like, that was an interesting job. You know, sometimes you just gotta sensationalize a little bit.
The company's real founders go by the names of Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who formally incorporated Tesla Motors in July 2003. It wasn't until February of 2004 that Elon Musk even came into the picture, becoming the largest shareholder with an investment of $6.5 million, becoming chairman of the board, but until he became CEO, he wasn't really a big part of the company. Even now, some of the only patents to his name have to do with door designs and the charging mechanism that makes Tesla chargers exclusive to Tesla.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
His patent is just on the connecting point and not the cable or really the tech, just the shape and locking mechanism of the charging port.
Oh, so basically it's like vanity. He was able to design what it looks like, and he likes that, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess that can be important. I don't know.
It's like it might have to do with the fact that you can't charge any electric vehicle at a Tesla station, just Tesla cars. And one of the things Musk definitely did early in Tesla production is push for as many charging stations as they could make, meaning that one of the reasons their cars sell so much is because their charging stations account for about 40% of the stations in the US.
Oh, that's some really scum tactic. I get what he's saying. Well, that's stupid, dude. What the hell? I mean, I like, what the hell? That's so stupid. Only because now, like, I understand, listen, he makes them himself, but I also guarantee you that he gets government subsidies to make this shit. So, okay, whatever. So, anyway, what I was going to say is he probably gets government subsidies to set up Tesla, which means he gets government subsidies to set up the Tesla chargers, and then he has an individual patent for the Tesla charger, or the charging stations. He gets government subsidies to set up the charging stations, right? And subsidies to make electric vehicles, because there are subsidies for that. And then he took advantage of that to make them only compatible with his Tesla or his charging station, which means that other vehicles aren't going to be able to get, like, aren't going to be able to really get anything out of it, right? So that's just like really shitty billionaire bullshit tactics.
Which, gee, sure sounds like a way to squeeze more affordable electric car companies out of the market, but what do I know? Elon at first clashing with Tesla founders after they failed to mention his name in an interview with the New York Times, because why would they? He wasn't CEO. Threatening to pull out of the company, though, if they didn't call back and issue a correction. Elon's pettiness was on full display. Elon was obsessed with being the face of it all. Probably what drove him to out Eberhard from the company in 2007, illegally denying his severance, resulting in a storm of lawsuits and counter lawsuits alike, as Eberhard slammed Elon for attempting to rewrite history and gave himself the title of founder. A settlement was eventually reached outside the court, but it's hard to imagine Eberhard doesn't hold any resentment towards the man who kicked him out of his own company.
That's fucking wild. What a ruthless piece of shit, huh?
Can you describe the moment that you realized you could no longer be
$7.5 billion in subsidies? Oh, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
part of Tesla?
No.
Is there anything you can say about why you left?
I was voted off the island, and in a rather rude way. It wound up with...
Well, it sounds like this guy didn't like Elon, because Elon would falsely claim that, like, he created this company, even though he didn't. And Elon got upset with that because he wasn't able to rewrite the history, so he decided to fire the guy who made the thing and say that he actually made the thing. What a class act, huh?
Some lawsuits and some settlements, and you know, it's history now. Yeah, so I can't say a lot about it.
Yeah. Going to show that the
yeah, he probably had to sign like an NDA in order to get money out of it. That was probably Elon Musk's goal the whole time, to be honest with you.
Reality of who Elon Musk is doesn't exactly reflect the big chungus epic wholesome 1000 Reddit image he tries to put forward. At the core, he's still just a soulless businessman. And I promise no amount of...
Guys, soulless businessmen are based. What?
Dogecoin is ever gonna change that. So let's...
Well, he definitely fooled people for a while. What is up with billionaires being able to fool people into thinking that they're good people for like the longest time? It's actually fucking crazy.
Let's focus on ways you can actually get money with the help of today's sponsor, Upside. Upside is an app that allows you to earn cash back on essential purchases you'd already be making. It just puts money back in your pocket as you shop normally. Just...
Okay, that sounds cool. Cash back these nuts.
or Google Play. Use
Go check
promo
it out,
code
guys.
Jaubrey to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. At that point, it's basically just free money. I don't know why you haven't downloaded yet. The link is right there in the description. Huge thanks again to the wonderful people over at Upside for sponsoring this video and putting a little bit of cash back into your pocket. With Elon at the helm, Tesla has long pioneered the automobile industry by producing accessible and affordable electric vehicles that are both safe for the environment and available for the everyman to enjoy. Assuming the everyman can afford a $50,000 car, but hey, they help the environment.
It's a little expensive, yeah, you know? I mean, I guess it can be affordable for some people, but that is fucking wild. Got my Kia Soul, $17,000 vehicle. I'll be done paying it off, actually, I think, and 2024, man. That'd be cool.
Right? Oh, mining lithium for Tesla batteries causes soil degradation, water shortages, biodiversity loss, and literally increases global warming.
I mean, that's bad, but at this point, like, I mean, that's probably like the least biggest issue that Elon's really engaged in, is like having to farm like lithium in order to do this particular thing. You know, it's like unfortunate. It's the same thing for having a computer. It's lithium in a computer, so farming that creates our computers as well. You know, which means we wouldn't be able to do the jobs we're doing. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's not a good thing, but I guess that's sometimes it's a little bit of life. And it's like a trade-off. It's like, okay, are we better off, you know, fighting global warming with electric vehicles, or having a negative impact by having electric vehicles? Like, there's nothing in life that really is like 100% positive. There's usually pros and cons. You just look for the thing that has the more pro, you know?
Yeah, well, at least Elon sold them anyway, despite knowing Model S batteries tended to break down and catch fire in 2012.
Well, that's fucking
crazy. It was
crazy.
also reported in 2017 that 90% of Teslas that rolled off the assembly line came with some kind of issue that needed to be fixed retroactively. Some buyers reported their cooling system was cobbled together with planks of wood, while other anecdotal testimonies revealed a trend of cosmetic issues even on their most expensive trims. In 2020, Tesla users reported an outage that prevented them from getting into their vehicles. The range of the Model S was once beaten out by another electric vehicle literally made out of trash. The autopilot was once so unsafe that you could bypass the safety feature by shoving a piece of fruit into the steering wheel. The panel gaps are obvious.
I think that, like, there's a guy I remember on TikTok who used to do some like weird shit with the way he gassed up his car, so they banned him from all Tesla, or not gassed up, you get what I'm saying, electriced up. That's going to be one of those things that still sticks in my vernacular. So they banned him from using the Tesla charging stations. How fucking crazy is that?
Yes, the plastic is often loose, and the bumpers have been known to fall off in the rain. The NHTSA has opened up at least 35 investigations into Tesla's autopilot after being involved in over 400 accidents since July 2021.
Jesus.
Lawsuits continue to pile up over Tesla's apparent phantom braking. Fires involving lithium-ion batteries are notoriously hard for firefighters to extinguish, which is especially unfortunate when you consider Teslas catch fire so often that there's an entire category on the Tesla Wikipedia dedicated to such incidents.
All right, well, at least you can figure that out. Yeah, I imagine you can't put water on a battery fire, can you? That would be crazy. What do you do for a battery fire? That's fucking wild. Come on it or something?
Spontaneously catching fire in the store, causing house fires when parked in the garage, even bursting into flames while being washed, with Tesla fires ultimately being responsible for over 30 confirmed deaths.
Jesus.
Which doesn't fill me with confidence, personally. Really nothing more than a death trap masquerading as a cheap status symbol, which is one of the very few genuine accomplishments to Elon's name. He took the electric car mainstream. At the very least, you could say Tesla's popularity has forced other car manufacturers to pursue their own electric models.
Yeah, but again, he got massive government subsidies, so like I doubt that he even cared about the electricity of it. He probably just wanted to get huge government subsidies that he wouldn't pass on to the consumer. You know? So
most of which seem way more promising than whatever the fuck is going on at Tesla, a company so notorious for OSHA violations. I probably could have made this entire video solely about—
Hey, freak OSHA, dude. You think I'm gonna wear goggles when spraying hazardous chemicals at my job? That's one of the things they don't tell you about OSHA. Sometimes the people who would work there wouldn't want to adhere to the OSHA standards. Sometimes they're just annoying, bro. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but
about their horrible working conditions.
We're hearing from a former—
that they want you to wear goggles to spray Windex in a vehicle. I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Oh, I did do it. Sorry, I did that. I did it.
Tesla employee who sued and won a discrimination lawsuit against the automaker. ABC News reporter Rebecca Jarvis has more on the racial abuse he endured.
On April 16th,
oh shit, that's why conservatives like him so much.
2018, a nonprofit investigative journalism site by the name of Reveal News published the results of an investigation that discovered a rampant slew of employee injuries at Tesla's Fremont, California factory that had gone unreported after the company claimed to have made the factory safer than it used to be. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but not reporting a guy's inhalation injuries from breathing in toxic glue doesn't mean it didn't happen. In fact, failing to log serious injuries on government-mandated reports to make your company look safer than it actually is illegal. But
why is that?
As this investigation was made public, Elon spouted off on Twitter. The problem is journos are under constant pressure to get max clicks and to earn advertising dollars or get fired.
I mean, that is true that they are trying to. He's not necessarily wrong that they want to sensationalize. That doesn't mean that everything that they put out though is sensationalized.
Jessica Huseman.
But like, that's the thing, is it doesn't mean that what he's doing is okay. But that's kind of one of the problems with sensationalization of the media, man, is that like when it comes down to it, some people are just going to be like, oh, I don't believe you because I've seen you sensationalize other stories.
Reminded him that Reveal News was a nonprofit that doesn't have advertisers. Elon.
A nonprofit still, I don't know if it has that. Nonprofits still make money, like, just so people know that. Nonprofits just mean that they don't maintain a profit, but people still make money. Now, I don't know if I don't know if J. Aubrey is saying they don't have advertisers because they actually don't have advertisers, or if he's saying that because he's saying it's a nonprofit and doesn't understand it. But either way, they still get revenue, and the revenue is going to be based in some capacity off of how viewed they are, right? So nonprofits, again, don't mean that they don't make money.
Suggested they're all rich kids in Berkeley who took their political science prof too seriously. Tesla going on to smear Reveal News as an extremist organization working directly with union supporters to create a calculated disinformation campaign.
Oh, not union supporters. Who would like those?
Even though Reveal was just...
I hated my union. They fucking took advantage of us. They let me like lose benefits and shit. It's pretty fucked up.
The Messenger, basing the report on medical documents, OSHA records, 911 calls, and Tesla's own injury logs. Speaking with 5 former members of the Tesla safety team, along with dozens of other former and current employees. Some were union, but others weren't. Employees who described a chaotic factory floor where speed trumped safety. It's been reported that workers were crushed by forklifts.
Yeah, the same shit as like Amazon, right? You couldn't even go potty.
Burned in electrical fires,
Jesus
sprayed
Christ.
with molten metal, and sliced by machinery named after X-Men characters. And that's just according to the ones they reported, which amounted to about 722 total injuries in 1 year, or roughly 2 a day. Even over...
How many factories? I mean, I don't know what like the average injuries in a factory are, you know? But if he's dodging OSHA standards, then obviously it doesn't really matter.
A year later, Tesla still had 3 times as many OSHA violations as the 10 largest U.S. plants combined, which may have had something to do with the lack of yellow hazard marks around the factory, as the Reveal article...
I never said it because the tweet said it. Okay. Hey, thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me that, okay? Thank you for telling me that. Okay, I love you.
Alleges
I'm not looking at the video. I'm listening to it. Okay, I'm playing a video game, bro. All right, this is my transformative nature of my content. I play a video and I play a video game. This way you can watch the game. Who cares about the visuals of a video meant to be viewed? You know what I mean? It's silly goosery right there.
About bone-crunching collisions and the lack of clearly marked pedestrian lanes at the plant, the General Assembly Line's then lead safety professional went to her boss, who she said told her Elon does not like the color yellow, along with him also supposedly personally disliking the sound of forklifts.
Well, I mean, if you don't like the yellow, then you can't adhere. Then you obviously cannot adhere to the OSHA standard that you have to make things yellow as like a safety protocol. I mean, of course, duh.
Backing up, pretty insane claims Elon has since denied in the same breath as threatening to take away stock options from union workers, which landed him in court. If someone said Elon...
Why are you like allowed to still run a company if you do so many different things like this? It doesn't really make sense to me. Like, that's one big thing, you know? I don't understand that. Like, if you're a worker that steals time, you're unemployable. But if you're a fucking businessman who steals time, like, you can somehow land a new job. It doesn't make any sense that you'd ever be able to do that. Damn.
Doesn't like something. You were concerned.
That's crazy, bro. Though.
Because you could lose your job, stated the former environmental compliance manager. So not only have employees blamed the unprecedented number of injuries on Elon's supposed relaxed approach to safety, but Tesla didn't even report all of it. When injuries were brought to light on a public scale, however, Elon promised to personally meet with all the injured employees and even visit the floor of the Tesla factory to do their jobs for for them, which would have been cool if he had ever actually done it. And this was all before making his employees
I mean, that is a leader instead of a boss, huh? Actually doing the job with somebody. But I guess he couldn't adhere to that very high standard of telling the truth to people.
Returned to work at the height of COVID, resulting in an outbreak, defying public health orders and causing 450 plus cases at his own factory in 2021 is far from his initial prediction that there'd be 0 new cases of COVID by April 2020. And
bro, let me tell you something about COVID, bro. I remember when that shit started, you know, I worked through it. It was oh my god. It was rough. But I remember my favorite buffet closed down during COVID, and I'm like, shh, it'll be back up by my birthday. You know, they closed down at the beginning of March. And they didn't open back up for a couple of years. But my buffet didn't open back up. It's called the Flaming Grill Buffet. And here we are, you know, sad stuff.
well, it's worth noting Tesla isn't the only car manufacturer known for this kind of unethical activity. It's also important to keep in mind we don't worship other tech or car CEOs as such brilliant architects of the future who will bring humanity to the next step by installing chips in our brains or whatever.
Ooh, I wish I had some chips in my fucking mouth right now, dude. I want some goddamn Doritos. Sweet chili Doritos. So.
It's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. If they're inserted very carefully.
Bro, this is going to be the new wave of the future. This is going to be like my kids are going to get this when they get older, and I'm going to be like, I'm against this confounded technology. You know?
So the robot actually images the brain and makes sure to avoid any veins or arteries.
Whoa.
So that the electrodes can be inserted.
Unfortunately, we have a lithium battery in it, and it'll fucking explode and kill you. But it's a small price to pay for me to experiment with your brain.
With no noticeable damage. You sort of think like if you stab something with a wire, surely it will bleed. But actually, at a really small scale, it does not.
Most visionaries, though, don't end up sued by the state of California over reports of, quote, rampant racism that have been around for years. According to a 39-page report from 2022, black employees were not only denied promotions and given harsher punishments than others, but black workers and black workers only were forced to scrub the floor on their hands and knees. Tesla's response to these claims has been both poor and dismissive, shoving the...
I mean, you should fire any manager for even allowing that. But maybe it's the black people's fault. Maybe this is something that people need to understand. If you work too hard at a business, you will not get promoted. And maybe they were just doing too good of a job. You know? Yeah, that's fucked up, Carl. That's fucking crazy, man. That's definitely like a jarring experience, brother. That's wild.
Racism allegations to the side to instead brag about how much they've done for sustainability and clean energy, which is pretty fucking ironic considering how much money they pull in from selling their carbon credits.
But Tesla still isn't profitable. Their stated goal is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. But Tesla's actual strategy is exploiting well-meaning government climate programs. Look at carbon credits. Government permits to emit a certain quantity of greenhouse gases. Companies earn carbon credits for reducing emissions and have to spend them when they emit too much. Tesla earns a lot, then sells them to other companies, erasing whatever progress Tesla made.
Why would you even be allowed to do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you even be allowed to sell carbon credits? Like, that just seems like the government's a fucking moron for even allowing it in the first place. What's the point?
The boost from selling carbon credits led to some of the only profitable quarters Tesla had ever had.
So they're basically monetizing pollution. Pollution that Elon has most definitely contributed to with his rocket-related vanity projects. When he can even get them approved for launch, that is. One being denied in 2020 after the FAA cited a tweet from Musk himself where he predicts a 1 in 3 chance of success. Get this, he launched anyway, and the rocket blew up. I mean, what are we even doing at this point? But who cares? Tesla and SpaceX are thriving. Tesla's...
See, at that point, like, I get that. It's like, oh, I'm going to experiment with something. Let's see how it goes. Like, I don't care about that. It's all the other, like, scummy shit, like the racism. I don't even know why you should be able to sell the carbon credits, but that's a government problem. But it's just like all that other shit like that. He's just a fucking moron.
The value being
like the theft of fucking IP, basically saying that he like was the founder and creator of a particular thing. He's a loser.
So high, in fact, that it can never fail. I think. Actually, it's been reported as one of the most overvalued companies in the world because it's seen as a tech company, not a car company. It's why they've got such a lead on Toyota, for example, despite having to recall so much of their inventory. But at least least, Elon has some great ideas on how to revolutionize the way we get around.
Traffic is soul destroying. It's like acid on the soul. It's horrible.
Yeah,
This is,
it's
I
true.
think, finally, there's something that I think could solve the goddamn traffic problem.
After finding himself stuck in traffic,
I mean, probably a more effective trains, frankly, would solve the traffic problem in like an actual way, and it would also double as like giving poor people the ability to get around. So how about better and more effective transportation, methods, stuff like that. Incentivize people to like take the bus, incentivize people to take a subway and stuff like that, which you can do. Jesus Christ, oh my God. You can definitely do those kinds of things.
one day.
You make a specific bus lane that no cars are allowed to drive in, instantaneously reduces traffic for the bus. It makes people more likely to take a bus, etc. You get a bunch of shit that you can do.
In 2016, Elon envisioned a bright future where people could travel in a less congested environment, vowing to instill a safe, earthquake-proof underground network of tunnels to help you get from point A to point B in reduced time. And if you're thinking, hey, that sounds a lot like a subway,
yeah.
You're right.
You're right. But hopefully they don't have Jared working there.
Except these are only for Teslas and can only take on a fraction of the people a subway can carry. Described as a dangerous and uncomfortable death trap by people that have actually used it.
Oh my, there's a traffic jam.
Oh, you know what? When it's busy with new people constantly, it's not too bad. But when it's slow and you're by yourself, it kind of gets a little boring sometimes.
So Elon somehow managed.
So he came up with a tunnel. Wow, that's it? I can't believe they actually went through with that. What a stupid idea. Who gave him the fucking money for that? Who's the idiot?
To come up with a less efficient, more costly version of something that already exists and works perfectly fine. In fact, one would think the more responsible thing to do for society would be to put more money into public transportation rather than create your
1000%.
own tunnel system from scratch that would require time, resources, and billions of dollars to complete.
And you'd have to have a Tesla to use it, which means it's like not really something that like the lower or some people in the middle class can even adhere to. It's just I mean, the fact that they even allowed him to do something like that, like it shows a government issue. Like, why would you allow him to waste infrastructure potential on some fucking dumb bullshit that was obviously meant to try to monopolize the market? Like, it's just so stupid because there's no way he built the tunnel magically without getting some kind of like go ahead from whatever. So it's just stupid.
There's a reason we only have one of these things coming out of a Las Vegas convention center and not the elaborate network Elon once promised. But if I had $1 for all the times Elon failed to go through on a promise, I'd be able to buy Twitter. Making such absurd predictions that don't end up happening, between Tesla battery swapping to saying there will be 1 million robo-taxis on the road by 2020, promising a self-driving Model 3, connecting our brains to computers, and saying he's gonna put people on Mars in the next 10 years, which was 10 years ago. See, setting lofty, unachievable...
What's even going on in Mars that's so special anyway? Like, what's the point, What's even the point? I mean, are there even resources on Mars that we could harvest to have sustainable life without the dependency of Earth resources? Because then it's just, what's the point? Like... I mean, is the goal to siphon all the resources from Earth, bring them to other planets that aren't as polluted or something? Like, what's the fucking... I don't understand.
Goals for the future is a big part of Elon's business strategy. Sometimes it works out and he finds the funding he's looking for, which isn't hard to do. But other times, Elon lying on such a public scale has gotten him sued by the SEC when he knowingly lied about taking Tesla private at $420 while he had no plans of actually doing so. Which all goes to suggest that maybe we should approach this guy's ventures with a strong degree of caution and skepticism. Because at the end of the day, does Elon care more about helping the world or helping his image?
Yeah, no, of course. He just wants to be on a rolling stone. He just wants to be famous, man. He doesn't care about anything.
Positing himself as the
people who want to be famous are fucking weird, honestly. Like, it's cool to be... I mean, I understand, like, I'm a TikToker or whatever. Well, I'm not anymore, not that, but I understand that, like, I do this kind of content, but I don't really want to be famous. Like, I want to be able to make enough money, but people who want to be famous, I just feel like that's so weird. It's very weird. I've never, even when I was younger, I remember when I was in like I think I was at the YMCA and they asked, would you rather be rich or famous? And I was like, oh, I'd rather be rich because, like, I don't really want people to necessarily know me. Like, it's fucking weird, you know?
The cool guy billionaire with cameos on Young Sheldon and The Simpsons
What?
only
Young
contributes
Sheldon?
to the latter. Same with going to the Met Gala and hosting what is by far one of the worst episodes of SNL I have ever seen.
Damn.
Maybe if he wanted to be
That's saying
perceived
something.
more favorably and make real, substantial societal change in the process, he'd be making more consistent donations, like when he donated $1 million to trees on one occasion, which is $166 million less than what he tried to sue a whistleblower for, and $43,999,000,000 less than what he spent on the worst app on your phone.
Well, I mean, I understand that he would spend more money on Twitter and stuff, but the thing is that you know that he only does charity for the tax write-off, so.
This morning, billionaires debating the direction of the site that has an outsized impact on the spread of information. Elon Musk tweeting overnight, Twitter needs to become by far the most accurate source of information about the world. Former owner Jack Dorsey replying, accurate to who?
Elon Musk completed his takeover of Twitter in a $44 billion deal on October 23rd, 2022, cleaning house by immediately firing the CEO, CFO, and head of legal policy the following day.
Who would have expected him to cut tons of people out of the business that are probably integral to its actual success and not just it making money? This is the thing. Elon Musk, the way that he's operating Twitter, between him making it so everybody can have a subscription to Twitter Blue, which destroyed the trust for advertisers, and firing 80% of the staff to save money, it's very clear to me that it's all about short-term gains in the stock market to make it look good. That's what a lot of companies are doing. That's what video game companies are doing. That's like why we're seeing such issues where video games are like done so poorly now, you know, when it comes to like Blizzard and stuff, because they're just trying to make as much money as they can in the shorthand. They don't care about the long term anymore. You know, it's just a shitty business tactic, and it ruins faith in people that people have. You know, it's all about just getting as many investors as possible. It's all about the appearance of like how successful business is, rather than like actual success. At least in my opinion, you know, it's just pure financial success or short-term financial success. Even though having a good brand is much more important, I think.
With rumors that he was about to fire 75% of Twitter's total employees, an aggressive decision he backtracked before settling on about 50%.
I could have swore he said like 80% because I remember watching him on Tucker Carlson, but I guess still 50% is crazy.
Which still amounted to over 37.
Not that Tucker is fucking very top, honest.
700 jobs being taken away from departments including engineering and content moderation. Some employees in Ireland and Britain.
Yes, one of the things he said, he's like, yeah, you don't need as many employees if you don't care about monitoring content. And it's like, I understand having like an acceptable amount of freedom of speech, but I mean, then also you should monitor content for some stuff, you know. So
being up late at night to learn about the fate of their career.
And also, not for nothing, but like having less moderation is going to reduce the amount of money that the platform makes too. I understand people want to engage in freedom of speech, but like realistically speaking, advertisers don't like it when people say like really shitty, disparaging, bigoted things. Like if you make it so it's like, oh yeah, it's acceptable to say like the hard R N word, your advertisers are going to be less likely to want to invest in your platform because it's not going to draw like a particularly positive crowd. So then there has to be a balance between it if you want to be successful when it comes down to it.
Careers at 3 in the morning. According to the New York Times, the cuts were so haphazard that at one late night meeting about the Twitter Blue subscription product, at least one worker was locked out of the company's systems during the call. The layoffs were so sudden and devastating, they prompted Twitter founder Jack Dorsey to take personal accountability for growing the company too quickly and letting it reach this point. A point where the FTC is now tracking the developments at Twitter with, quote, deep concern after key members of the security team left en masse as the company goes up in flames. With each passing day, it's becoming more apparent that Elon may be a little too in over his head, saying things about the app.
I don't think that that's true at all. He hires people to do everything that for him. Like he's not in over his head at all. All he had to do is buy it and just like kind of maintain it and leverage some of the new ideas against the people. Be like, hey, what do you think of this, instead of just implementing it. He's not in over his head. He's just a greedy, selfish piece of shit bastard. And that's it. That's all it boils down to. He has all the people around him that would help him make the right decision. He just doesn't care.
Only to have it be corrected by the former CEO, the website itself, or employees who have been with Twitter way longer than he has. Going so far as to publicly fire an engineer who didn't do anything but offer a correction, in a particularly public throwdown that ended with Elon using the information the guy gave him. As one user summarized the situation, Musk declares something he knows nothing about, is corrected by an employee who explains the problem, then fires that employee and presents their ideas as his own, which, as we've covered here
Well, it seems to be like the pathway of success for him. How many times has he done this in general? You know?
today is quite literally the story of his entire career. But Elon seems to be less concerned about the internal problems that could cost the company billions and more focused on fixing the problems that weren't actually there. Lifting an indefinite work from home order to assure employees work 40 hours a week in person as he begins to roll out a number of asinine changes.
Like, not for nothing, but the 40-hour work week is dying. Who cares about the 40-hour work week? Especially when it comes to higher skilled labor. Like, when you got a McDonald's employee, like, I get it. You know, I still think that we could talk about 30-hour work weeks, you know, and like definitely better pay and whatnot. But like but I get that. But especially when you have like people who are like higher skilled labor, why make them work 40 hours? Give them a task and say you have to adhere to this. If you can, give them a task and say, hey, you have to satisfy this task, and you're good to go. You're done. If you're a higher skilled like labor, you're gonna get done well and quickly. And then boom, everybody wins. You know, you get more productive because like there are statistics coming out about it. You get more productivity from your worker, and they are happier, and they have less, like they don't have to work as much. Like ideally, you should try to reduce work hours as much as you possibly can in the fields that like do allow it. It just makes the most sense.
Some of the changes having,
like, contrary to popular belief, employees being happy is a benefit. It's a positive to your business. Like, I know a hot take, I'm sure.
To do with content moderation and adding long-form text attachments to tweets, which is something that already exists. Why is everyone in the replies pretending that we don't already have this? Twit longer is a thing. This isn't new. The biggest change that you've probably already seen has to do with verification. Twitter, along with basically every social media site, uses a small check mark to indicate that celebrities, journalists, politicians are all the real public figures they say they are, so that people aren't fooled by impersonators. It's a pretty standard, straightforward method that has always worked. But because Elon is obsessed with making dumb and counterproductive changes that make people pay attention to him, he's
and also make them pay money in the short term. Again, like when it comes to this performance, like it was so predictable. He wanted to do this to make as much money in the short term as possible. But like again, it destroyed advertiser confidence in people. And then, like, yeah, he did finally implement like a fucking yellow Twitter mark, but you know, he's already engaged in some of the damage. Some of it was reversible, but you know, he's already not inspiring confidence to advertisers, and he especially did it during Christmas. And he was like, he literally threatened. He was like, I want to sue these people. They can't pull their advertisements out. I'm going to sue them. Like that's how fucking dumb this guy is. That's how stupid he is. He doesn't think that advertisers get the freedom to do whatever, to like spend their money how they want.
He's decided to change how we view verification, coming up with a plan to charge users $8 for a check mark. But not just for celebrities, for anyone. Floating the idea that paying for a subscription is the only way to make more people see your tweets.
Prioritize Twitter search, replies, mentions by verified users first.
But then everybody is a verified user. It's like the same thing as if you buy priority internet access in your area, because they just put you at like the top of the list when it comes to things. And then it turns out everybody has it. So then basically it doesn't do anything. You know, I guess it makes it so that you're not at the bottom, but you know, everybody has it now, so it's not necessarily effective.
And yeah, if your payment verified,
he was waiting for applause.
With blue checkmark, then you'll be prioritized, and hateful conduct pays. But if somebody risks losing even $8, the net effect will be over time that the verified users will pretty much.
Why does it destroy advertisers' trust when they remove the verification that signaled who was and wasn't the advertiser? I mean, the advertisers literally pulled out, so we know that it did destroy their trust.
Always be at the top of comments and search, and you won't really see. You'll have to scroll far to see the unverified users, which will be the bots and trolls and whatnot.
Incentivizing people to pay for the app by burying unverified accounts under anyone who coughs up $8 and gets a fake little participation trophy.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people, like stupid people, were like, oh my god, I have Twitter Blue now, I'm such a cool guy. I think that was part of the motivation for some of these people, that it feels like something. I think that's why they didn't release like the Twitter Yellow instantaneously, because they wanted everybody to have the blue. They were using the legacy of what it like meant for people to have it. By making you pay for it, but they're like, wow, I'm also verified, and people would have like it's perception of value, and then of course that goes away once you realize it. So
reports that those who do not pay for Twitter Blue will be relegated to a separate page on the site entirely. So just like his carbon credit scheme, Elon has found a way to monetize free speech rather than facilitate it, putting it behind a paywall only.
You don't know if it's accurate that they lost advertiser trust, even though tons of advertisers pull out during Christmas last year when they implemented Twitter Blue. Okay.
Ensures the real avid tech writers are the ones who get their voices heard. That and anyone who pays $8 to impersonate celebrities and tweet things that surely Elon would find hilarious now that comedy is legal again.
Oh yeah, didn't he like ban somebody? Didn't he ban like Ethan Klein for a period for like impersonating him?
The one funny thing Elon's ever done, and it was by accident. But this sudden push for subscription-based content makes more sense when we see it in a wider context, as a possible attempt to recoup the losses he incurred by failing to get out of his binding obligation to buy Twitter, at least as stated by a former employee, driving home the point that these new payment options are less a demonstration of Elon's genius marketing wit and more like a desperate scramble to keep the company from going bankrupt. Elon's takeover prompting such a mass exodus of huge advertisers, i.e. where Twitter gets 90% of their revenue from, probably having to do with the number of hate.
And that's the thing, is that I don't think that he understood the value of advertisers in the first place. He thought that he could just give everybody Twitter Blue basically, and he's like, well, I'll make money from doing that, so like who needs the advertisers? But you really need the I mean, you really do need the fucking trust of your advertisers. It's fucking ridiculous.
Filled tweets increasing by 5 times, and the new CEO of the company himself tweeting ridiculous conspiracy theories immediately following the acquisition. Yeah, it's no surprise that brands don't want to be associated with that. No matter how much Elon threatens to thermonuclear name and shame them in front of 110 million people, which probably won't do much to curb the billions of dollars Elon projects Twitter to lose over the next year, telling employees that bankruptcy isn't out of the question. Of course, the fact he even spent $44 billion at all, more than twice of what Twitter was worth, kinda already demonstrates that being a billionaire doesn't always equate to being smart at business. Now, I'm personally not.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you become a billionaire by stealing other people's ideas.
In the biggest hurry to upload my bank info to an app that just lost a chunk of its cybersecurity team, but I hope for Elon's sake that enough people pay for his dinky little check mark to keep the lights on. But at least in the meantime, he did manage to make Twitter have less ads than this video, so I'll give him that.
PayPal, SolarCity, Tesla, SpaceX, they're so spectacularly different. They're such ambitious projects at scale. How on earth has one person been able to innovate in this way? What is it about you?
Well, you know, I buy other people's properties and I say that I did it myself, so.
Despite everything we've talked about, Elon Musk is still one of the most liked and respected people on the planet. His quirky, casual internet status setting him aside from the group of other elitists who don't have a fraction of the support Elon both enjoys and exploits. His army of unrelenting fans is like a weapon he uses against the people who slightly criticize him, like the time he baselessly accused a journalist of taking bribes for Tesla short sellers, or at the time he called a British diver leading the charge to save a group of boys trapped in a cave a pedo guy.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was like so long ago. Well, not long ago, but that was, I forgot all about that. That shit was fucking wild. Holy shit.
To find dirt on the man when all he did was refuse to accept Elon's submarines he didn't think could work. Maybe I'm in the minority on this, but threatening to sue a Tesla whistleblower for $160 million is far from preserving free speech. So is attempting to bribe a 17-year-old kid with a Tesla for operating a Twitter account publicly tracking all of your flights, or at the time he allegedly offered a flight attendant a horse after he supposedly exposed himself to her during a massage.
I mean, listen, I'll take a horse. If you want to show me your penis, give me a horse. I would just want the horse meat, though. I would want the horse meat more than anything else. Not just the horse. Because I'm not going to take care of a fucking horse. Why the fuck would you give him a horse? Why not just the value of a horse? I feel like horses are expensive. Just give me the value of a horse and you can show me your penis, you know? That sounds like a fair trade to me.
Incidents that go completely disregarded or forgotten by his obsessed zealots who soy-face at the mere mention of Elon on Rick and Morty or Iron Man or Star Trek.
Was he on Rick and Morty? Oh, fuck. I gotta go watch Rick and Morty now, dude. Rick and Morty.
Elon will always be able to preserve his relatable image by annoyingly buying stankmemes.com and posting a stonk meme, or posting a Harambe rap song to SoundCloud in 2019, or charging $69,420 for a car, or manipulating the market with a stupid...
Well, that one might be... Oh my god. That one might be justifiable, but...
Coin. See, Elon's cult following comes from the delusional assertion that despite being the richest man alive, he's just like us. He's a guy you'd smoke a joint with, using his goofy antics to distract from who he truly is at his core.
He's just a silly
rich oligarch who evidently doesn't care much about the safety and livelihoods of the people he employs, or even whether or not the people on the first voyages to Mars live or die for that matter. What makes...
That's why I say we send, you send a dog. Maybe monkeys or something, you know what I mean? So...
To think this guy would ever care about you.
Send the dog, and if it dies, bring it back and feed it to homeless people. That's the way I would look at it. I mean, I wonder how a space dog would taste. That's mean, but... Or try a horse. Send those fucking orangutans up there that have such hard grips that they almost kill people for food. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. Alright, well, that was a good video. It was interesting stuff.